Hey, welcome to Radio Labyrinth Presents. It's our weekly half-hour feature show. We have a couple of guests today. Returning to Atlanta, first and foremost, is Red Clay Comedy Festival. It is back on. For some reason, last year it was not held, and we don't know why. It's a mystery. A lot of things were canceled last year. We're just going to pretend that 2020 didn't exist. But November 4th through 6th, 2021, you can find out all the information at redclaycomedy.com. But we are joined by two people that we've spoken to many times in the past, people that I've known well for a long time, at least, not formally, but what's the opposite of formally? Doesn't matter. I can't think.
Informally?
I guess so. Gilbert Lewan and Michael Albanese. Guys, welcome. Thank you for being on.
Hey, thanks for having
everybody.
us.
Michael is now officially the clearest voice, including the hosts, that we've ever had on Radio Labyrinth since we started doing it on Zoom.
Good job,
Hey,
Mike.
check me out, huh? Now we're cooking.
Another credits.
You doing a lot of voiceover work? Is that why you got that set up going?
You know, I bought it with the assumption that I could get more, but my God, I just sent in an audition to be a Lenny Bruce impersonator for a cartoon. So we'll see how that goes.
I feel like I can curse, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just started screaming all the words I'm not supposed to say on radio.
Yeah. Words that you could say then you could say, and now you can't say again. So it's funny
Exactly.
how.
Yeah.
And Gilbert,
it rotates.
Yes, Gilbert, you're based in Atlanta, and I believe I heard you on the beginning of a comedy album yesterday.
Was it Roy Scobles?
Yeah. Is that new, or does he have two this year? I think one is completely improvised.
There's a documentary where he did these six improvised shows of Relapse Theater, and that became a documentary that followed that along with the story of Relapse. But then they took a lot of that footage and created an album from it. So it is the same, some of the same. It all came from those shows, but the documentary only has some snippets of the shows. But yeah, that's my credits have yet to not have somebody else's name in them. So you might have heard this guy introducing somebody better than
you might have heard your next comic hanging out with another comic.
Yes.
Yeah. You might have.
We saw you open for Norm Macdonald, I think.
Yeah.
I booked him. His agent was like, I've never had this request before. It was when I was booking the Atlanta Improv. He's like, don't pay him in cash, as if I was going to have $35,000 in a suitcase, because they're like, he has a gambling problem. And I was like, that's pretty interesting because it's Atlanta. So I guess there is big stakes games going on somewhere every night. And of course they'd want Norm to join the game. I was like, wow, he's got different vices.
Well, didn't it also say
I'm used to for cash.
Didn't it also say in his contract? I remember you showing me in big red letters. It said, "No cash. Also, do not write the check to his name. It has to be out to this corporation, so that he can't go to cash the check somewhere." Under no circumstances do you hand Norm Macdonald any money in any form.
Yeah.
So what would happen if you give him that money that night? He would have been on the phone with somebody. How quickly do you think he'd be
gone
in a blackjack game and with 30 down 30?
He'd find a game. He'd find a game quickly. They go on and every city has them. So I
guess so.
And if you're a degenerate gambler, then you know where to find them quickly.
Me and Gilbert, a little behind the scenes, but of me and Gilbert, we used to live with a guy who used to run backdoor high stakes poker games with judges, sheriffs, all kinds of high people, the people that should be enforcing the illegality of that. He used to run those games.
And in Georgia?
Oh yeah, in Atlanta, in the city.
And good for you for not. Did he ever tell you who was there, or did he just allude?
He alluded. He could have said names. I would have known
to be there a lot.
Yeah,
Crisscross.
I was trying to think of somebody ridiculous for that.
So Gilbert, my wife and I named our son after you.
Did you? What'd you name him?
His name is Gilbert. Gilbert Pratt Andrews. He was born in May. No, we didn't. But
Gilbert what? What's
Gilbert Pratt? My wife's last name.
Oh wow.
Yes.
I've only met a couple of people named Gilbert. I met a lot of people with last name Gilbert. We're gonna call him Gil or
No.
Gilly or Gilbert.
We do Gil, Gilly, Gilbert, mostly Gil. Yeah, it's a great name. It's
Is it?
Yeah.
Why did you name him that?
we were trying
Just
to
came
think
up-
of we were trying to think of names, and she said Gilbert. What do you think of that name? And I thought in the back of my head, oh, I really like Gilbert Gottfried a lot, and I also like that name. And I guess in the back of her head, she's like Anna Green Gables. So it just worked out.
Oh,
And
cool.
Donald Trump Jr. was taken. So
He's still taken. I did a show with Gilbert Gottfried at the Improv in Atlanta, and I was just doing a guest spot, and I was like, I met him, and I said, I go, hey, I'm Gilbert, whatever. I go, there's one too many Gilberts on this show, and he goes, what? And I was like, nothing.
How is he to work with? Was he fun? Did he talk, or was he
He's
just
nice, man. He's old. He was like, this is like 6 years ago, and he was really old. Like I didn't realize how old he was. He's like, I think he was about pushing 70 6 years ago, and it was like more feet. Like he had to have help getting on stage or whatever, but he still
Really?
performed great. Yeah, just like a little bit, like the host would introduce him, and then somebody would kind of help him just get up, and he was fine to walk, but it just needed that little bit of help.
Wow.
And he has a lot of fans. I guess I should have been smart. He's been doing it forever, and he's still very sharp joke
the
writer.
podcast he does is quite funny.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's he and the co-host Frank Santopadre, they know just about everything. So, well, guys, we're here to really talk about anything, but to talk about Red Clay Comedy Festival returning to Atlanta. Now, this is which 7th or 6th?
This is the 6th festival, but the 7th year.
And obviously, it was too tough to pull off last year because
We tried.
Yeah,
We did try.
We were hopeful in May. We were like, we think we could do this, and we started planning it. And it was just like, this is not going to happen.
Yeah, we're like barely peeking our heads outside our door and be like, I think it's going to be fine.
yeah.
It's not.
I think we under and overestimated the people of Atlanta. We were like, oh, they don't care. Like, oh, shit, they care.
Like festivals are like the last thing people are like, if you're reluctant to be out, and the festival is like the last thing that you'd want to kind of buy into. That's why we're doing the vaccine.
Yeah, we just
requirement.
announced vax requirement or negative COVID test. Just because there's so many different variations between the different venues and stuff like that. So we just kind of took a blanket.
Or if Joe Rogan writes a note for you, then we'll let you
Can I bring my OPEC?
Originally, we had the festival scheduled for this weekend internally. This current weekend that we just are on.
Oh, really? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but then like the day after we internally decided that, Bill Burr announced like 42 shows in Atlanta. And so we're like, well, I guess we're not doing that. Like that guy's going to sell 15,000 tickets this week.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
How many did he do?
He's doing two
he's
at
at Cobb Energy Center,
Roxy, right?
He did
And then one
2
of the
Cobb
Fox?
Energy, 2 Roxy, 2 Fox, I think.
Damn.
Jesus Christ, man! Like that's crazy.
Anyway, you can not see Bill Burr November 4th through 6th at Red Clay Comedy Fest.
tell us some of the people that are going to be there.
It's going to be fun, man. We've got Akash Singh, who, if you're familiar with Andrew Schultz's podcast, he's the co-host of Flagrant 2. And then we've got Clayton English, who's on the 85 South show and One Last Comic Standing. And then we have James Zadomian, which is going to be super fun.
Tim, you love James, right?
Yeah.
You guys are voices.
And we got a couple really good like specialty shows. We're doing one called Boast Rattle, which is it's like roast battle except for it's all compliments. It's a competitive compliment competition.
That
It's
has
really
to be
fun to watch.
It is hard.
It's
It
much
is harder
harder.
to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's really fun. It's so weird and it's really, really cool.
Yeah, so this is literally the flip of roast battle.
Yeah, Matt Richards is going to do a show called Abracadam.
Mhm.
And if you ever see or have that HQ Trivia app, he's the host of that. But he's a really funny comic and he has a magic act, which is just insane. And we're really excited to have that down. We had the last festival, we had a magic show with Harris Greenbaum, but
Man, it
was
was
so fun, yeah. And
It
people
was
really
amazing.
responded to it.
our Saturday at the Earl is like packed, and usually, so we have the magic show, and then last time we had what do we have, music, but this time we'll have the Boast Rattle, and then we'll have the headlining shows, and that magic show really like kicked. I was like, I mean, I knew it was gonna be good, but it was just really like sharp and funny, and like, and I'm glad.
And in a venue like the Earl, it's like it's so intimate and like everyone's kind of involved with it, and he does a lot of stuff with the crowd. Matt Richards does. We tried to get him on, but we just couldn't get the schedule worked out for you guys. But it's gonna be a ton of fun, yeah. And then we also have like 50 comics from all over the world that come in for the weekend, and we do shows at the Midway. We have this big tent in the back we set up for like a big show. We do the Earl, Argosy, and that Brigantine, the back room, 529 bar. And then we also Emerald City Bagels, that really cool bagel shop.
Oh, they're the best.
They shut down at night. They're doing, they shut it down and turned to a speakeasy for us for 2 shows. And they'll have a bar. And then they're also doing, they're going to be selling pizza bagels, which is not a menu item. They make it special for us. And they're doing like all fresh bagels with all their bagels, and they make a whole menu out of that with pizza bagels, a bar. It's so much fun.
That was the show I was most worried about 2 years ago, because it's like, I love the shows in non-standard venues like that, because people that are there they're there for comedy. No one's going to Emerald's for a comedy show and then also not paying attention. It's like everybody, and we set it up really nice. It's like small, intimate, like setup, like 30, 40 chairs. But it was every show was just like killer. It was really fun. That's why it's like we have those little venues like that, and it's all in East Atlanta Village. So 2 years ago was the first year, I think, that Mike probably agrees, like that we actually had a little bit of fun, because usually we're like so miserable because it's just it's like such a sprint once we get like we still do a bunch of work leading up to it. But 2 years ago is when we really figured out like showcase passes and the VIP passes, staggering the show times and show ends, where we're like, this group's going to come out of here, they're going to go there, and it really felt like a festival instead of like a lot of comedy festivals. I feel like are just a compilation, like a bunch of shows in a city, but this is literally on the same block. You got a pass, you just pop in and out of shows, and so really, I think we really figured it out, the formula to make it.
See, I like that. I used to go to music showcases every once in a while for college radio. And if you would go to New York and stay at that hotel in between the old World Trade Center, that hotel, something happened to it. It's gone. But when, you would have to get on a train or take a cab, and everything was all over the place. So I like this. Same thing with Dragon Con, all in one place. You're not going all over the city.
Yeah. And this year we're doing all of our parties are going to be on site too. So we're doing so Thursday night, there's no shows. It's just like the opening night party on the patio of Argosy. So we have like that whole front big giant patio, and there's gonna be food and drinks, and people can pick up their badges, merch, whatever they want, and all the comics will be there, which is it's kind of like an opening party. And then in the Brigantine in the back on Saturday night is, if you buy a pass, a showcase or a VIP pass, you can come to the after party, which is going to be the end of it. And we're going to have like all kinds of crazy shit going on in there. And again, free booze, free food. And you can't buy a ticket to that. The only way is if you have a badge, like you have to buy a pass, which there's still a few left. So
how much are they, and where can people get them?
They range from $30 to $100. Just depends on which kind you want. And it's all at redclaycomedy.com. Okay. But it's all spelled out right there. And the VIP, you get to see every headliner, every showcase, plus the parties, free merch. It's a real good time. The
showcase one is at 30. You can see the showcase shows, not the headliner shows, which are fun too, because you see some of the best. So there's like a good the price point for whatever budget. And we'll have like some drop-ins for sure that we can't mention because we can't confirm them, but there's some people they'll pop in that are in town. That's what's great about Atlanta is there's always like talented comedians in here shooting something, and they'll just like they're junkies for stage time. So we're gonna have some fun.
We can't tell you who's gonna be this year, but in the past we can tell you it's been crazy drop-ins like Bobcat Goldthwait, Dave Keckner,
people
Eric
here
Andre.
Working, right?
Yeah, or people that are live here part time now too.
Yeah.
So there's always a good pool of people to pick from. I think Eric Andre's dropped in like 3 out of 6 years or something like that.
Maybe Bill Burr will show up.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Nah, he won't be
I'll
here.
tell you right now, it will not be Bill Burr.
Yeah, let's keep talking about some more of the people that are going to be here. I know it's friend of the.
Have you ever seen
podcast.
James Adomian? I know Tim's familiar with him.
Yeah.
Have you familiar with James Adomian?
Yeah, his impressions are the best.
Yeah, he's
I
great.
mean, he's like, yeah, his impressions are incredible, but he's just like the most talented comic I've ever met in my life. I mean, he's like somebody you'd build in a lab if you were going to build a comic. he can do anything comedically, and it's amazing. It's like to have him around. He's gonna, have his headline show is at 529, which it's a great venue. It's like since they renovated it, it's like I did a show there with Shane Torres, and like a couple months ago, and it's amazing for comedy now, like for music, obviously. But he's doing his show there. Then he's also going to be doing some of the showcase shows, like on Saturday afternoon and night. So there's a couple different ways to catch him, and like he's always fun to have around. Clayton English is, we had Sam J, but she had to pull out. She had to cancel her entire fall tour because she got a big part in a huge movie. So I can't be like, what's your priorities? And don't answer the obvious answer.
Right.
So, but Clayton's one of the best comedians in the world.
There's some good local comics too. Friend of our
Yeah.
podcast, Lace Larrabee, is going to be there.
Yeah,
And,
Lace is great.
who else did I see?
And does her husband still do comedy, or does he just ride his bike?
I think he pretty much rides his bike. I think maybe twice a year he'll jump on stage.
I always liked how laid back he was. He was a really good radio guest too, as I recall, back in the regular guys days.
Yeah, I was thinking about the regular guys today. Like, I had this running joke with every comic or anybody I know, where I would introduce if I was in the office where you guys are, I would be like, "Hey Tim, it's Gilbert from Comedy and Friendship last year." Like, and every time I did that to Larry, he'd go, "Yeah, I know." he would look at me like an idiot. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah."
Wait, you're saying that Larry didn't have a sense of humor and wasn't funny?
Yeah.
I liked it when Michael would come in and he'd sit on the couch unacknowledged. That was my favorite part.
Oh yeah.
Well, was that before or after I got banned from the studio permanently?
I don't know. It was weird. You'd come in and everybody try to interact with you, and I don't know. Those are who don't care about that.
was
I would
funny
sit
'cause it
there
was
and not
weird.
talk.
Yes. It was
Really?
bizarre. No, you weren't
Well,
allowed
you're on
to.
the
I thought
radio.
it was
You
stupid.
can't
Oh,
really
no.
talk.
I wouldn't go in the studio. They'd keep me outside the studio.
Yeah.
And then people would come out of the studio to say hello to me. Like, hey, don't tell anyone I said hi.
Well, you got banned because like you stated the obvious at the Atlanta Improv, right? When
Yeah,
Larry bombed real bad.
I didn't know why until later. I was told that Larry hosted a show, and
And it was,
I was
what's his
hosting
name
the show.
headlining?
It doesn't matter. John Lovitz. I
No, it
think.
does matter because it was the only thing I gave him instruction was he said just don't do any crowd work because the headliner does like, and it was what's his name, the guy from the Fairley Brothers movies. He's like hilarious dude. Like he was
Oh,
something about
Harlan
Mary.
Williams?
He-
No.
Harlan Williams, yeah. And so
Yeah,
he got
that's
really
right.
mad that he was doing crowd work because he started bombing, and like that's the only thing he wanted to say. So then Mike was hosting, I guess. Or came up
Well,
with that.
I was trying to be nice, and I got on stage and I said, hey, give it up for Larry. He's really funny on the radio.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was it. Okay.
You got to
It
be
was
able to
all-
take a joke if you know you just bombed. And he was like, "I shall take that too."
You know, guys, the only time I ever did stand up, and I tell the story, and it was terrible because it's not easy to do, no matter what you think. I got up there and I had these horrible jokes I had written, and there was an ice storm. The only people there were like 6 people in the audience and Bobcat Goldthwait. And when I got back to the table, he looked at me and repeated my punchline. He went, okay.
That's pretty good, though. He at least acknowledged it.
Yeah.
we were at the relapse when Bobcat got in that car accident.
Really?
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
I want to. Is there like a document or something?
yeah.
Just
I was
get
trying to get him on here to come on and promote that. They made a documentary about it.
No, yeah.
I was just talking to Bob Wood about that like last week, and he was just like, "That was a big, like one of the many hurdles It's like, and we had it all sold out. And then I heard this crash, and I was like, no way.
Yes.
And then I was like, well, you should have been like, you guys are still doing the show. We're gonna just improvise. You know, like you're gonna be in a wheelchair. You're gonna be on crutches. There's some improv work.
And then they ended up rescheduling it for the Highland Ballroom, and that was the last thing I saw live before the pandemic.
Oh, really?
I think, yeah, either that or Jeff and I saw Donnie Most in some play in Marietta.
Dan Weeks, he's funny. He moved out of Atlanta though, I think.
Yeah, he moved to Tampa, which seems like a natural progression for Dan.
I haven't heard that name in a long time. Is he still doing?
Dan's great.
Yeah, still doing comedy.
Dan's fun. He's one of those fun festival comics too, where he's a fun hang, you know. So
if you're looking for a really funny, interesting online experience too, you should follow Steph Tolev with a V on TikTok. She's a pure maniac. You might have seen her too. She had a viral video go about a character she does, like this backwoods.
She's a live act, man. She's one of those Eddie Pepitone, but a female.
I've seen that video. I'm looking at her now. I know who that is. Yeah.
Have you seen Eddie Pepitone live? Like, it's a different thing than video. It's like, I can appreciate him in video, but when you see him live, you're like, this is like an action movie that's, I don't know what's happening. That's how Steph is. She's really fun to watch live.
Comedy is like a lot of things for me as I get older now. I'm looking at who's coming. And of course, we had a whole year where nobody was coming. But you look and you're like, who's coming? Who's coming? Who am I? I don't know this person. I don't know this person. I don't know this person. And then I think, well, I guess I'm just done with comedy. But, you know, if you actually have the, you know, the wherewithal to go look, it's still there. You just have to accept it.
Yeah, but part of it is also there's some people you not recognize are like they're sort of Instagram star or TikTok. Some of them, not all of them. So sometimes when you don't recognize this person who's headlining a big club all weekend, you're like, well, I thought I was ingrained enough in comedy to have heard this person's name. And then you're like, oh, so it's like opened up, you know, a different.
Yeah, there's different avenues now where they're coming from. You don't know.
Well, look, I mean, just look at James Austin Johnson, who has done Red Clay 3 years ago, and like he just was a guy that submitted to be in the festival, and now he's on SNL. He's like the newest cast member on SNL.
He was the first new cast member to open a season like this past one when he did Biden. Have you ever seen him? His Instagram, his Donald Trump is incredible. Not just like how spot on it is, but the stuff he says.
I don't follow those types of accounts for two reasons. One, jealousy, and then the other one is I don't want to do their version. But it's mostly mostly jealousy. Because you do this. Like I'm always envious of people that can do voices and impressions. Like it's such a weapon you can use in comedy at any time. Well, it's hard to practice. You got to practice. Like I do quips. That's what I do. Like real quick quips, and then if I have to do a conversation, I lose it. So I had to prank somebody last night as Kirby Smart. And
really?
You know, I do him on the show very briefly. You know, dude, now you got to go out and chop wood, and we got a guy here, and he's going to do good. But I don't know anything about football. Thank you. So I had to. I watched an hour's worth of his press conferences yesterday. He says a lot of the same thing. I mean, we're not working from a script. I mean, you know, we're
we're lead. We're just got to be a lead. You're a leader or not.
We're going to believe. I mean, you say we're number one. I mean, they write that, but I mean, you know, we're just going to field and doing our thing, and you know, and this and that. And they got a guy that's really good, and he's physical, and you know, he mows people over. So it's just a lot of that, and I had to keep doing that. So I kept it for a while, but normally I don't. And, you know,
go to James Austin and watch the Scooby Doo one. That's what made him like really like famous, because he was trying to do Trump like everybody else does by writing out a script, and then he realized Trump doesn't do that. He's like, he just talks about what he knows, whether it's appropriate or not. And then he started talking about Scooby-Doo and like basically what's her name?
Yeah, Kristen Wiig saw his videos.
Kristen Wiig saw it and showed it to Lauren, and he's like, well, let's have him come in next week, because
get him on the show.
Yeah. I've known him for like 7 years, and I didn't even know he did impressions till like 2 years ago. Like he did one in front of me one time of Rory and somebody else, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then I found out a year later he's like the most talented person in voices out there. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
You guys are going to watch the Georgia game today, I'm assuming?
Oh, yeah.
I am.
I'm so pumped.
Mike's not. Mike looks like he plays for Georgia. I look like I could be a kicker, man. Soccer guy, you know, Brown just got here.
Well, I know last week it was important.
The heck is that?
Just wind chimes.
It's wind chimes. It means I'm hungry.
Fucking
You picked the
I'm
perfect
out.
spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, this is Mike hasn't been here. This is my backyard. This is like why I was so excited last year, at the beginning of last year, to rent this place, because it's like half a mile from where the festival takes place. I'm like, we can do something in our backyard. It's like right here. And then
Where are your chickens?
they're gonna come home to roost. I don't know
Okay.
what that means.
I know a lot of people in East,
Sounds like
a lot of people in East Atlanta Village have chickens in their backyard. That
I drive roosters, the biggest
Yeah.
asshole animal on the planet, just every
Yes.
morning. Wah!
and no
We
fucking.
get it. It's morning.
All right, so let's before we wrap it up, let's reset. It's a fucking dumb radio term. You can tell that I'm tired. But, let's just say Red Clay Comedies. Jeff, go ahead. I said
RedClayComedy.com for tickets and all the info on who's going to be performing.
November 4th through the 6th, 2021 in East Atlanta Village. That's my birthday. I'm going to be there. All 3 days are my birthday. I celebrate all month.
Happy early birthday. I will
Happy early
forget
birthday.
come the weekend. But
And congratulations on little Gilbert.
Thank you.
And that would be so weird if that were we hadn't talked about it earlier.
Well,
So I'm talking about myself.
Gilberts are cool. Michael, are you going to stop by the station to promote or to see us when you're in town?
I hope so. If Eric still likes me.
I don't know why he wouldn't like you.
No, I know.
Have you talked to
I-
him or anybody?
I still talk to Greg and Autumn. But he doesn't reply to my text hardly, which I understand is a pretty usual.
I've known him for 20 some years. He doesn't reply to mine either, so don't worry about
But
it.
I
Well,
take
that's
it
a
I take
libertarian
it
of him.
personally.
So do I.
So I usually just hit up what's
Greg.
the Yamamoto.
Oh, Jared. So I'll tell him. Yeah.
Jared's got bodies somewhere.
Yeah, he does.
Nobody has that smile and personality without some real deep, dark issues.
Where's Jared? Do I know this Jared?
He's a producer, yeah, showrunner.
Great guy.
He is.
He's just so happy. Makes me
Great
happy.
guy. You like had to say that. Great
people
guy,
who-
though, in case he's not a murderer.
People who are never happy hate people who are always happy, and there's no in between on that. And I know people who are miserable. Like, I fucking hate that guy. I'm like, why? He's always smiling. Oh, okay, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. He's always
Was that your Greg impression?
No,
I
it
was
was not
fucking
my-
smiling.
no. If I were talking about Greg, I would have done my Greg impression.
Those
What?
bells, you know what that means. It's time for a prize round.
Oh God, spin the
So-
wheel. Hey, we got caller number 10 ready to go. Okay, coming up on it. You know what they call me? They call me a guy who'll go anywhere the wind blows, and the wind is blowing my way. So buy my book, turn on my show later. All right, ending on a happy note. Guys, thanks for coming on. Best of
Thanks
luck.
for having us.
Festival. I would like to come down on that Friday night or Saturday night if available.
Well,
Yeah,
you know
please
where to
come
get
down. All of
tickets,
you guys
Tim.
Come down.
Yeah.
I think we can scrounge you up some.
Gilbert Lewan and Michael Albanese, thank you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
for having us.
pals.
Please hang up and try again.